Right now, somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, it is 3:15 in the morning. Most of the 5,000 people aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford are asleep. But deep inside the ship, 6 decks below the flight deck, a 22-year-old sailor is standing in a kitchen that is 135 degrees Fahrenheit. His hands are blistered. His shift started 9 hours ago. And he is not building weapons. He is not launching jets. He is making scrambled eggs. By the time the sun rises, he and his team will have prepared more than 17,000 meals. Not for a restaurant, not for a hotel, for a warship. And if they fail, the most powerful vessel on Earth starts to shut down from the inside. Think about a city, a small one. 5,000 people living in a single steel structure, 1,100 feet long, floating in the open ocean, sometimes for months at a time without touching land. That is what the USS Gerald R. Ford is. Not just a warship, a floating city. And like every city, it runs on one thing, above all else: food. Every single day, the Ford burns through 1,600 pounds of meat, 350 pounds of lettuce, 160 gallons of milk, 30 cases of cereal. And the crew drinks roughly 20,000 cups of coffee before the cycle starts all over again. The daily grocery bill alone is somewhere between $45,000 and $65,000. That is over $1 million a month, just to keep people fed. But here is the part most people never think about. There are no grocery stores in the middle of the ocean. There are no delivery trucks, no supply chains that operate on land. Every single calorie aboard that ship has to be planned, loaded, stored, and prepared using systems that were designed decades before the first sailor ever steps aboard. And the people responsible for all of it are not chefs. They are not trained in culinary schools. They are United States Navy Culinary Specialists. Many of them teenagers who signed up to serve their country and ended up running one of the largest food operations on Earth. So how does the most advanced warship ever built feed an entire city at sea, in a war zone? It starts with a kitchen that looks nothing like what you would expect. If you walked into the galley of a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, the kind that served the Navy for over 40 years, you would find 5 separate kitchens scattered across the ship. 5 different teams, 5 different menus, 5 different levels of quality. An officer eating on the second deck might get a completely different meal than an enlisted sailor eating 4 decks below. And getting food from storage to those 5 kitchens meant organizing working parties of 50 to 100 sailors, hauling supplies through narrow corridors, up ladders, across passageways, sometimes for hours. The Gerald R. Ford changed all of that. When naval architects designed the Ford class, they did something that had never been done on a carrier before. They built the entire food system from the ground up around a single idea: vertical integration. Instead of scattering kitchens across the ship, they consolidated everything into just 2 massive centralized galleys. And then they placed the food storage rooms directly beneath them. Think about that. On a Nimitz carrier, moving a pallet of frozen chicken from the storage compartment to the galley could involve a team of 50 people and take the better part of an afternoon. On the Ford, a team of 18 sailors can unload 140 pallets in roughly 2 hours. They use dedicated elevators that move food straight up from storage to kitchen without crossing a single corridor. The result is not just efficiency, it is consistency. On the Ford, everyone eats the same food. Officers, chiefs, and enlisted sailors are all served meals prepared by the same culinary team, in the same galley, using the same ingredients. That sounds simple, but in the history of the United States Navy, it was revolutionary. The galleys themselves are built with industrial-grade equipment that would not look out of place in a factory. Touch-screen ovens that can be programmed to cook hundreds of portions at precise temperatures. Mixers capable of handling 60 pounds of dough in a single batch. Steam kettles large enough to prepare soup for 1,000 people at once. And all of it operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, through 4 meal cycles: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and something the Navy calls midrats. Midrats, midnight rations, exist because a warship never sleeps. pilots returning from night flights, engineers running reactor checks at 2 in the morning, damage control teams finishing drills at 0300. These sailors need hot food, not vending machine snacks, not cold sandwiches wrapped in plastic, real meals. And the culinary team is there to provide them every single night, no matter how exhausted they are. But having the most advanced kitchen in naval history means nothing if you run out of food. And on a ship that burns through 1.5 million pounds of supplies during a single deployment, running out is not a hypothetical scenario. It is the nightmare that every supply officer thinks about every single day. Here is a number that puts everything into perspective. 1.5 million pounds. That is how much food the USS Gerald R. Ford loads before a major deployment. 1.5 million pounds of frozen meat, canned goods, dry provisions, dairy, and fresh produce, packed into palletized storerooms that sit below the waterline. But even 1.5 million pounds is not enough. A carrier deployment can last 7, 8, sometimes 10 months. The Ford's most recent deployment, which ended in May 2026, lasted nearly 11 months, the longest for any American carrier since the Vietnam War. You cannot carry 11 months of fresh lettuce. You cannot store 11 months of milk. The moment the ship leaves port, the clock starts ticking on every piece of fresh food aboard. And that is where one of the most dangerous maneuvers in naval operations comes in. It is called underway replenishment. The Navy calls it UNREP, and it looks exactly as insane as it sounds. Picture this. The Gerald R. Ford, 100,000 tons of steel, is sailing at 12 to 15 knots. Beside it, separated by only 100 to 150 feet of open water, a supply ship is matching speed. Between the two vessels, tensioned steel cables are stretched across the gap, and along those cables, pallets of food. Sometimes 400,000 to 700,000 pounds of it are being transferred from one moving ship to another. If one ship changes speed unexpectedly, the cables snap. If the seas are rough, the pallets can swing violently. The entire operation requires absolute precision from both crews, and it happens every 7 to 10 days during a deployment. But cable transfer is only half of it. For urgent or high-priority supplies, the Navy uses vertical replenishment, VER, TREP. Helicopters fly between the supply ship and the carrier, carrying cargo nets loaded with fresh food. A helicopter might make dozens of trips in a single afternoon, each one a carefully choreographed sequence of loading, flying, hovering, and releasing cargo onto a moving flight deck while jets are launching from the other end. The entire point of UNREP is to refresh what the ship cannot carry indefinitely. Fresh produce, fresh dairy, fresh meat. These are the items that have the shortest shelf life and the biggest impact on morale. When fresh food arrives after 2 or 3 weeks of frozen alternatives, the difference in crew energy is visible. But here is the part that most people do not realize. The menu aboard a carrier is not random. It is not whatever the cooks feel like making. Navy nutritionists plan 14 to 21-day menu cycles, calculated down to the calorie. Males receive approximately 2,850 calories per day. Females receive approximately 2,100. The menus account for food allergies, religious dietary restrictions, and the specific physical demands of each sailor's job. A reactor technician, working 12-hour shifts in extreme heat, has different nutritional needs than a pilot flying combat air patrols at 40,000 feet. And managing all of this, the logistics, the nutrition, the supply chain, and the thousands of individual meals, falls on the shoulders of people most Americans have never heard of. They are called Culinary Specialists, and their story deserves to be told. His name is Max DeLisis. He was born in Haiti. He grew up in Delray Beach, Florida, and he started cooking when he was 9 years old. When DeLisis joined the United States Navy, he did not sign up to sit behind a desk. He became a culinary specialist, CS3, assigned to the USS Gerald R. Ford, and within months, his talent was impossible to ignore. He was selected to cook for the commanding officer. He was meritoriously promoted, and he was chosen to compete in the Naval Supply Systems Command culinary competition, one of the highest honors a Navy cook can receive. But what Delices talks about most is not the awards. It is the impact. Quote, "I always felt like food could change somebody's day," end quote. That is not a slogan. That is the daily reality for the more than 100 culinary specialists aboard the Ford. These sailors work 12 to 16-hour shifts in kitchens that regularly exceed 135 degrees Fahrenheit. They cook while the ship pitches and rolls. They maintain strict food safety protocols under conditions that would shut down any civilian restaurant. And they do it knowing that if the food is bad, if the quality drops, the entire crew feels it, because here is something military psychologists have studied for decades. On a warship, food is not just nutrition. It is the single most reliable indicator of how the ship is functioning. When meals are hot, consistent, and well prepared, sailors subconsciously register that the system is working, that the ship is intact, that someone cares about them. It is a signal of stability in an environment defined by uncertainty. And when food quality drops, when the menu cycles get repetitive, when fresh produce runs out, and every meal starts tasting the same, morale collapses. Not gradually, rapidly. Complaints increase. Fatigue deepens. Small conflicts escalate. The psychological impact of bad food on a deployed warship is documented in Navy readiness assessments, and it is taken seriously at every level of command. That is why culinary specialists like Delices go beyond the menu cycle. Theme nights, regional specialties, cooking competitions between departments. One of Delices' signatures was griot, a traditional Haitian dish of braised pork that became a crew favorite aboard the Ford. These are not luxuries, they are morale operations. A well-timed special meal during a long stretch at sea can shift the energy of an entire ship. And the Ford's most recent deployment tested that to the breaking point. Nearly 11 months at sea. Operations in the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, and the Red Sea. The crew dealt with mechanical failures, a fire, plumbing issues, and the grinding psychological weight of being away from home for nearly a year. Through all of it, the galley never stopped. 17,000 meals a day, every day, for 11 months. By the time the Ford returned to Norfolk in May 2026, the culinary team had served an estimated 5.6 million meals. 5.6 million, from a team of roughly 100 people. But the story does not end with how many meals they made. It ends with why those meals mattered more than almost anything else on the ship. There is one more detail about the Ford's food system that separates it from every carrier that came before. Efficiency. The Nimitz-class carriers required hundreds of sailors to support food operations. Working parties, transport crews, storage teams, galley staff across 5 separate kitchens. It was a massive drain on manpower. Sailors who could have been performing their primary operational duties instead spent hours moving food from one end of the ship to the other. The Ford's vertical integration and centralized galley system reduced food service manning by approximately 25%. That means fewer sailors are assigned to food operations, which means more sailors are available for maintenance, flight operations, combat systems, and damage control. On a ship where every human being has a role in keeping the vessel combat ready, freeing up even a few dozen people is a strategic advantage. The Ford was not just built to fight better, it was built to eat better. And in a military context, those two things are directly connected. Because the question every Navy commander eventually asks is not whether his ship has enough missiles. It is whether his people have had a hot meal today. Let me bring this back to where we started. 3:15 in the morning. 6 decks below the flight deck. 135 degrees. A 22-year-old sailor making scrambled eggs for 1,000 people. That image does not make headlines. It does not appear in defense budgets. No one builds a documentary around the moment a cook cracks an egg at 3 in the morning on a warship. But that moment is one of the most important things happening on the entire ship. Because here is what most people do not understand about military power. The United States Navy spends $13 billion to build a single Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier. Billions more on the jets, the weapons, the radar systems, the nuclear reactors. The entire ship is a monument to the most advanced military engineering on Earth. And all of it. Every dollar, every system, every weapon depends on whether 5,000 people can stay fed. A fighter pilot cannot fly a sortie if he has not eaten in 18 hours. A reactor technician cannot make safe decisions during a 12-hour watch on an empty stomach. A damage control team cannot fight a fire if they are dehydrated and running on vending machine coffee. The human body is the one system aboard a carrier that no amount of engineering can replace. And the only way to keep that system running is food. This is not speculation. It is doctrine. The Navy treats food service as a critical infrastructure layer, a readiness multiplier that directly affects the ship's ability to complete its mission, and the people responsible for that infrastructure. The Culinary Specialists are some of the least recognized, least celebrated members of the entire crew. They do not carry weapons into battle. They carry ladles. They do not launch missiles. They launch breakfast. And when the ship is deployed for 11 months, they are the ones who show up at 3 in the morning, every morning, to make sure that 5,000 people have the fuel they need to keep fighting. That is why the Navy invests millions of dollars every year in food service. That is why the Ford was designed with a completely new galley architecture. That is why Max Delices and the 100 culinary specialists aboard that ship are not just cooks. They are the last line of defense no one talks about. $13 billion, 75 aircraft, 2 nuclear reactors. And none of it works without the people standing in a 135-degree kitchen at 3 in the morning, making sure that 5,000 sailors have something to eat. The next time you hear someone talk about aircraft carriers, about military power, about the technology that keeps a nation safe, remember this. Behind every jet that launches from that flight deck, behind every missile that sits in a vertical launch cell, behind every sailor standing watch at 2 in the morning, there is a meal. A meal that someone planned, stored, transported across open ocean, and cooked in conditions that would shut down any restaurant on Earth. And the people who made that meal possible are almost never mentioned. If you think their story deserves to be heard, consider subscribing. This is the kind of content we make here. Not just the weapons, not just the technology, but the human systems that make all of it work. Drop a comment and tell us, which detail surprised you most? Was it the 20,000 cups of coffee? The 11-month deployment? Or the fact that 18 sailors on the Ford can do what used to require 100 on the Nimitz? And here's a question for our next video. You have seen how the Navy feeds a carrier. But how does it supply water? 5,000 people. In the middle of the ocean. Surrounded by water they cannot drink. That story is coming next. Stay informed. And thank the people who keep the galley running.